Good morning. Might be time to do our relays today, I guess. I was supposed to do them last time I streamed, and I just never ended up doing it. Because we've already got all of our tourists up into orbit right now. At least I'm pretty sure, yeah. All of these are in the same vessel, and we're at max contracts. We've got a satellite in a polar orbit around the homeworld that's going to head over to the Mun in a bit. We have another satellite that's on its way over to Minmus already. Let's actually do our telescope. Let's see if we can, because I never really made any progress on that, did I? But I still haven't really thought of a way to make it look good. I think I'm gonna grab several of our starter probes. Grab a hex too. And I'm curious, you know, which one of these will that attach to the best? Maybe I don't put a service bay on that. Maybe I just go... There it is. For the piece of equipment. It wouldn't fit too bad on the side of a QBE. But if I put it on the side, it's going to be harder to align it. I kind of need my probe to be in its neutral position. Because I think I can control it from the telescope itself, but I'm not actually positive. Nah, it's still a little too narrow. Okay, so I think I want to keep the hex. Alright, let's grab... I think I want to go with the capacitor again. I think for the most part I'll always go for the capacitor. I guess I could also use that as a mount though. Nah, it might be a pain in the ass to go up there and service it. Or adjust it if I need to later on. I think I want two of those. And I'm going to use those as the... Well, how tall are these? Way too tall. What about these? Do I want 4 or do I want 6? I guess once again the downside to that would be I can't really get to my capacitors. It might not be that big of a deal, though. And we are going to need monopropellant nozzles, so we know we're going to go with monoprop. Good morning, Car. How are you doing? Let's do a little tank of that. And another one. I think I'm going to go down to 4 of these so that I have enough room to put in antennas and solar. There we go. Oh, nice. What's Scarlett doing? She's playing some PUBGs. She had said that she was going to play a new cooking game that she got. but I can't recall the name of it. Sounded like it'd be kind of fun though. I think I'm gonna grab an orbital maneuvering unit. Well, it's an orbital maneuvering engine. So right now we have perfect symmetry. We have no offset of thrust torque. We only have 35 seconds worth of fuel though, which for this might actually be okay. Doing the PUBGs. I've been kind of craving it. I kind of want to play some PUBG myself. I was playing some Arma, but just like PvE Arma. Invade and Annex. It's kind of fun, but it does get really repetitive. I was really hoping that there would be some new stuff like that. But I don't know, everything seems largely about the same. I haven't played PUBG since like 2013, and there wasn't much of a change going back to it. The orbital boosters are looking stunning. They do look pretty good. I like the look of it with that little guy. We still have a very positive thrust to weight ratio, so I want to continue to add gear to this before I do much of anything, because I don't want to drive this down too far, but it really doesn't need a whole lot of DV. I think what we'll do is set up a drone, so the upper stage will have its own communications, power generation, parachutes, and everything. That way we can put this up into orbit and then not have to worry about it. And then it'll pretty much just use its monopropellant to deorbit itself eventually. Deorbit itself and for very minor maneuvering. Oh nice, yeah. I'd be down to play. They've added a boatload of stuff since the last time I actually played. I hadn't played it in a long time until Scarlett asked me to play. It's crazy. There's new guns. There's new maps. There's all kinds of things. They have a winter map now. Do know that I want an engineering chip, and I totally forgot to put it up here. But I think I can... well, maybe not. I was gonna say I think I can attach it to the top of this, but it looks like the telescope is kind of interfering with that. A big overhaul of Stream Raiders. How do you like it so far? Did they ever make it so that stream captains can raid as viewers? Because that was pretty much all I was waiting on before I tried to contact them to sign up. That would be a really fun idle game for the stuff that we play, I think. I mean, that pretty much looks center. I know that it isn't perfect, but since I attached it to the side, I don't know if I can actually get it perfect. They did, but it's a tiny bit of a hassle, really. Oh, you just have to log in? How weird. I guess it's because they track everything and it's integrated with, like, everything Twitch. That's not that bad. It is kind of annoying having to get an authorization token every time you want to if you have it set up for that, though. Yeah, I might have to give it a shot. I think that these batteries will actually make a pretty cool looking fairing. Yeah, let's keep adding gear. What else are we gonna need? We're gonna need antenna. Ooh, shit. Do we want to go with a dipole this time? If we do, then I need to reposition this stuff. I'll actually want... Yeah, let's just go for it. Because I kind of want that engineered chip to be, like, perfectly on there. And then I think I might be able to center this a little bit better. Good morning, Avina. Good to see you again. Perfect. What have you been up to? Did you guys see that there's a new Strongholds coming out? I don't know if you guys played any of the old ones. I missed that one somehow, but it does look a hella fun. So I kind of want to try the new one when it actually releases, since I never have. Now, is that going to be... that's so iffy. It would work, but that's going to clip. And that won't do. GG. Welcome back to Twitch. I'm gonna turn this off to a 90. See if that'll solve our problem. No, it's still gonna clip into one little piece there. Bummer, dude. I could probably still use the dipole, but I don't think I can use the dipole where I have it right now. Oh, it actually isn't clipping. Maybe it is. No matter what position I look at, this little spot right here, I can't really see a gap in there. Oh, maybe. Yeah, there's a gap. Just barely, though. And what about with the animation of this? No? Because I want to make sure that we can deploy the dipole before we activate this. Atlas got single player, really? What is that like? So do you just explore the world of Atlas now? I don't know, I only tried Atlas the one time. It was a total waste of money. I should have refunded it. I was kind of hoping they would improve it, but I haven't even been tempted to make my way back into it yet. Maybe someday. And then our big antenna's off to the side, maybe? So I need the extra Omni antenna that'll be activated all the time. Then I want 2 high gain antenna. I'm gonna see if this will look okay if I move these in so that they don't clip. No, that looks like hell. So I can put these on a structural standoff, and that would be fine. But I don't think I want these guys in any further than that. Matter of fact, there. There. So that they're nice and square there. These guys can't go there, though. I'll have to move them out. So just need a little tiny sucker right there to attach them to. Then solar. Now we're going to get some thrust torque. We're going to have a bit of a weight offset because of the extra antenna. But I wonder... I threw that there. Do I actually have enough room to stack this on top of that? because that would eliminate the need for us to move the engine or anything. And it would definitely help with balancing out the vehicle. But will it fit? Oh, just barely. Look how snug that is. Oh, I hadn't noticed that this damn thing is clipping into that leg. How did I not notice that? Boo. So you gonna be playing some Atlas? Or does it just sound like a, I don't know, a gimmicky kind of thing? Think it'll be enough to breathe new life into that game? Maybe if I just turn this around. See, I need to make sure that I have angle snap or toggle snap or whatever the fuck it is. If I turn that one, and then I reposition this. I can live with that. Nothing clipping anyway. And then I'm thinking solar, I'm kind of wondering if one of these antennas shouldn't be off the front. Just down here. And then solar off to both sides. So let's grab our structural piece. We'll do just a planer. That'll give us something to attach this little guy to. I'm going to want the front antenna to deploy in its current position just the way it is. And then I want the back one to deploy backwards so that one of them is pointing forward and one of them is pointing back toward the home world. Okay, just barely a gap in there. Perfect. I think I'm going to grab another set of these. I was holding spacebar instead of Alt. Not bad. So I'll Control Z that back in place. I want to take the antenna off of this set, but I think I'm going to use these to connect our solar panels to. So let's throw that down. Get rid of that. And choose our solar. Now this thing, I never really remember using a hell of a lot of power, honestly. Probably have to take it up to find out. It does make it a little bit more difficult for me to decide what kind of solar panels I want, though. I guess we could just go by weight. Like, these are half a ton a piece. This is a 1 ton probe so far. Don't think that I want to add a whole nother ton in just solar panels. And we do have the option of going with static just standoff panels too, and then we wouldn't need that structural piece. I would like them to track though, so I am hoping to get one that deploys. The TIE Fighter looking one, these are a pain in the ass though. So, like, there's literally nowhere on this vessel right now where I could actually use these because they rotate around the whole craft. So they'll deploy here and here, but then they move to track the sun. So in 360 degrees, I have to have enough clearance for the entire thing. So they're kind of a pain in the ass. Like, I wouldn't be able to have any of these batteries here. If I were to put it at the very, very top, I wouldn't be able to have the dipole antenna there. And I probably would run into problems with the high gain antennas. I would have to move them lower. Like, they are neat for some builds, but they are somewhat limited just because they, I can't restrict them. I think it's gonna end up being SSTU, but I don't know which one. Okay, that one weighs like nothing, so you might be the one. Well, there we go. Now we still look like a TIE fighter. I don't know how these ones track, though. We're gonna have to test those out sometime. I chose them first because they just weigh, like, absolutely nothing. What about you? I'm assuming this is a similar type. Those are way too big. Cool looking, though. Oddly enough, they really don't weigh much. So this kind has a fairly long standoff. What about these? Because those will, I think, attach just fine without the structural piece. I think we're in business there. I think that can go. I don't know if they'll be powerful enough, though. We're gonna have to take it out on the launch pad and find out. Parachute-looking solar panels. These guys? Like the shrouded ones? I've never, really looked at these ones. Those might work. They seem a little big, though. Actually, that might work just fine. Those weigh 0.2, which isn't too bad. The SSTU ones that are up here weigh 0.04, though. They weigh 20% as much. I don't know. Actually, the first step before I even choose a solar panel, let's just can all of those. Let's take this out to the pad and activate what we have right now. Oh, and is there any other gear that we're going to want for this? There is, but it's like monopropellant nozzles. As far as electric goes, I think this is about all there is going to be to it. We're going to have one of these antenna pointed at active vessel. We're going to have one of them pointed at the home world. Let's see, and I want, when I deploy this, when I open this camera, I want this one to deploy the way it is. And I want this one to deploy backward. Ooh, I forgot about that. Okay, so what I'll do... Shit. I wonder if I can right-click that in flight. Go ahead and retract that one. Let's throw something to hold this up. Yeah, it might not tip over. Might be okay. Take it out to the pad. I don't think that we need radiators from where we are right now, because this one won't be going into a solar orbit or any closer to the sun or anything. Oh nice, it's even nighttime. So, activate you. Now, it looks like I have to set that up in the VAB for one of these to deploy forward, because I want this one to point forward. I think that's the one. No, I want this one to point backward so that it's not blocked by the camera, but I want this one to deploy forward to target active vessel. And then this one, the engine will point toward the home world when we're not actually using this thing. Or I could put them out to the side, quarter turn them so that they launch like this way, and so that they deploy one of them toward the VAB and one of them away from the VAB, kind of thing. Let's see. So that should always be activated. This one is active, the dipole. I'm just making sure. So our consumption is 2.5 electric. What is the C? Is it just electric current? Electric charge. 2.53 electric charge per second. And I think that'll be fine. I don't know what I'm going to do about the antennas. It's impossible for me to get them perfectly on there, but I think we can eyeball it pretty damn close. But I need to get rid of symmetry. So what I'm going to do is make a copy of one of these. I'm going to leave it, I'm going to attach it like at the same angle in the same spot. And we're just going to eyeball it. I'm going to try to get the textures perfectly matched up. And then I'm going to move that one all the way in. Might be a pain in the ass to click on, so let's move it all the way over to there. See, I really wish that I could choose the part that I want to keep, like this one over here, and just tell it, okay, no more symmetry, and get rid of that one without having to move it. But that's okay. Get rid of that. Angle snap still on. And I'm going to see if I can line up just the planar portion of this, the structural piece. I think that should be just about right. Then this one goes back over here. And then we'll have to use our torque value to figure out how far in it needs to go. So right there should be just about matched between this side and this side. And I think that'll work. Now if I open this up, I want this one to deploy just the way it is, so that it's not pointed at the camera. And then I want this one to deploy reversed. There we go. Yeah! Retract it, retract it. Good to go. I'm not worried at all about radiation until we have someone actually on the vessel. See, the backside of a solar panel is a radiator. So I think we're gonna be okay. So that's way too much power generation, way more than we need anyway. And I don't have a right-click menu for any of the SSTU ones. I have to actually take them out to the pad to test them. But I'm still kind of partial to these guys. I gotta move them down far enough that they won't interfere with the dipole antenna at all. I think right about there. And hopefully this thing won't fall. I don't think that these deploy downward at all. So I think that'll be okay, but I'm probably going to have to put something for those to attach to, because I did have to make them, I did have to move them away from the actual body of that. See that gap in there? I don't like that. So I'm going to go with the exact same strut. Probably use the baby one. Good morning, Isley. I'm gonna try triangular. I wonder if I can rotate these so that they match. Oh, nice! I totally can. I'd never really tried that before. There we go. And I could go ahead and detach these and reattach them to that. But I think it's fine as is. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Let's grab you. And just move you on up. Now, hopefully it's actually enough. Because I don't rightly know. To test it, I'm just gonna turn it off to the east. We'll take it back out to the pad, activate everything, and then just time warp. Screw it. I was gonna do it without a launch stability enhancer, something like physically holding it, but then if it fails, I gotta go and do it again. Bring it back out there again. Let's just go ahead and attach them. Doesn't really matter where this is going bye-bye. Oh, wait. Do launch stability enhancers feed electric charge to a probe that's still on the pad? Because they should. But I don't know if they do. At least it seems like they should. Maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. They are just clamps, right? Yeah, I don't think I can test that with these attached to these guys. Efficiency 1, Omni Range, generator current power. I'm pretty sure that they're feeding the probe. So I'll just use a structural piece, and we'll give it a little stand. That ought to work. So I never did go and fix the contract packs. I've actually been having a really hard time sleeping. My neighbor's doing construction or some shit. I think they rent the house out. And I think the last people, sounds like they absolutely trashed it. I hated those guys anyway. They would have parties and throw their beer cans on my lawn. Like, who the fuck does that? Won't be missing them. There we go. So now we're at a negative 2.53. Let's go ahead and time warp. Problem is, they start doing their tear out and whatever the fuck else they're doing at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So they keep waking me up before I want to be up, and then I fall back asleep and I sleep in. Today I woke up like 3 or 4 times. The last one scared the shit out of me too. They were, I think they were throwing something in a bin. I don't know. It sounded like a gong going off like outside my window. And then I woke up with a headache on top of it, so that was fun. It looks like we're generating just enough, but only barely. It's really close. Does the same thing with bottles. Pricks. Like, I think I might need more overhead than that. Just a little bit nervous on this actually being able to fully charge itself if that's all I give it. Just enough solar. Because we are going to use electric current every time we take a photo. And we know we're going to want to take a bunch of photos. So it's charging by 1.5 electric charge per second, but we consume at 2.5. So it's actually generating 4. Because we're still consuming it. I don't know. What do you think? Think that'll take too long to charge? I like how they track the sun all the way across. Good morning, Thaddeus. I think I need something better. Oh, nice. Well, at least he cleaned it up. It's totally obvious, too. That's the other thing that really ticks me off. He would throw them in my yard, and he would throw them in the neighbor on the other side of the of his house. And my neighbor on the opposite side is like I'm next to his backyard, so he's got a whole backyard before it actually gets to the house. It's obvious who did it. Just a prick. Parachute solar. I have no idea what that is. Oh, you're talking these big guys? My only problem with those is I think we have a more efficient option that weighs far less. Because that was the smalls. I think we just upgrade them to the mediums. And then I bet we'll be good to go. If I can get them to attach. Pretty sure that's center. See how that one does. Been debating playing some KSP again? I totally would. Obviously. But I do think that we're going to start to mix it up a little bit rather than just stick with Kerbal Space Program for the next, like, month and a half. I think I'm going to stretch it out. I think Kerbal's going to be one of our main games, you know, obviously. So I'm trying to decide on a day that I want to do KSP. Maybe 2 days to do KSP, and then play some other games in the meantime, too. The Steam sale is on right now, so I did pick up, like, Path of Exile, and I was kind of thinking about trying streaming that one. Just like mix it up a bit. Now, I know I'm going to run into this alarm, but we're going to revert, so I'm just going to get rid of that alarm. More or less taxing while streaming, like CPU and whatnot wise? Honestly, I don't know. I would think that PUBG would be a little bit tougher on your graphics card, whereas this one I think is mostly CPU and RAM usage. It really probably depends mostly on the mods, as far as, like, is the game going to crash? That kind of a thing? Like a mod pack that's fully compatible and having a lot of RAM. That's a little bit better. So we're generating almost double what we're using. I think I like that. Okay. So I think we're happy there. Revert. Back to the VAB. Like, if you only have 8 gigs of RAM, I think PUBG would probably be okay, because you play with it on, you know, pretty much low settings for everything, right? But I wouldn't think the Kerbal Space Program would be okay. And then, same token, if you have a pretty good video card, I'm pretty sure that you can get away with playing KSP no problem, but you might have a problem with PUBG. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Path of Exile, it's Pillars of Eternity. I just got Pillars of Eternity. And a 1070? No, I bet you'd be just fine. The 16 gigs of RAM might be a problem, a little bit of a problem for Kerbal Space Program, but it totally depends on what mods you're gonna use. I think you'd be alright. I also think that I want to move these lower, so that they match up with our solar a little bit. And we'll see how much room we have left for other stuff. We'll move those right to about there, just about even with where our solar panels deploy from. So our thrust to weight ratio with all of the solar panels and the extra gear that we have on here has fallen to 1. Our burn time is still only 35.3. And now that we know what we're going to put on this, I kind of want more monoprop. Because we do have mandatory RCS. And it'll also give it kind of a proby look, I think. Yeah, I don't know if I'll try Atlas again. Maybe. You have a good one though, Jackin. Thanks for hanging out, dude. I think these tanks might be a little too big. I think I want those there. And I think I want another set down here at the bottom. I don't have anywhere to attach them because the batteries are in the way, so instead of moving the batteries out of the way, I'm just going to move these down to here. My hesitation with going back to Atlas is just that it was so shit the first time I tried it. Which does make me a little bit tempted to just wait until something happens where everybody's like, oh my god, Atlas is like a whole new game, you know? Yeah, I agree. I think they'd probably be okay, but it totally depends on what mods you decide to use. I don't know, does that look goofy? I think I also want to move the engine a little bit further away from the tank that it's attached to, so that these little tanks aren't clipping through into it. You know, kind of make it look like it's all built into one unit. And then I might swap it out for the boat tail to kind of hide some of the clipping too, if I can't get the top. No, the top of that actually looks just fine, I think. That took us up to a 2 minute 21 second burn time and 1,295 DV. Now, to balance everything, let's go ahead and deactivate this little shit. The dipole. Track those. I left them deployed that whole time so that I could tell exactly, you know, where they would be and whether I was going to accidentally clip into them. Be a pain to lug it back and forth from work and hook up everything. Wouldn't be that bad, would it? Just plug in mouse, keyboard, monitor. And then if you have a capture card, then just pop in the DVI. Not DVI, HDMI. Showing my age over here with all this DVI talk. How much smaller are these ones? Can I use these over here? I think I want two-way and two-way, but those are going to be extremely difficult for me to match up. So I'm going to be lazy and do a four-way. There's barely any monoprop in these anyway. I was kind of hoping that these would hide a little bit more of the probe core. We'll still have some of it exposed. Nah, I don't like the look of that with the big one there. I do think that I like the look of the smaller ones though. Which way do I have these set up? Okay, so let's turn that away. No, we'll put 6 of them on. Yeah. It'd be really easy if you had a capture card. Is your work computer pretty beefy? Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to move this one down. There we go. Got it balanced again. It's not too bad. Oh, heck yeah. And if you're going to use a desktop PC for your streaming rig, you'd go with an internal capture card if you wanted to. A lot of them handle some of the process too. They have a little chip on them, so they handle some of the compression. Good morning, Gorm. Lynches and whites. Actually, you're totally right, thank you. I've completely forgot any kind of lighting on this little telescope. And I would have totally overlooked it completely if you hadn't mentioned it. I think I'm going to put them right underneath the antenna. So I want 4-way symmetry. I'm going to see if I can find anywhere that I can click on the side of the probe. I guess that'll work though. 4-way symmetry. Trying to kind of hide it in there a little bit. I like it. Now, I don't actually think that you would want light pollution of any kind up there. I don't know how much having a light would actually affect a camera, but we're going for it anyway. Now, the hard part, monopropellant nozzles. Where do we put them? And how the hell do we balance them? Uh-oh. The Bon Voyage? I don't think I've heard of that one. Is that another map pack? I think I may have overlooked Bon Voyage. I have no fucking clue how the hell I'm gonna balance thrusters on this unless I have offset nozzles. Do I have offset nozzles? See, these nozzles are all at a 90 degree. What I want one of these nozzles over here and one of them on the opposite side. And I don't think I have them. Oh shit, son. Got them right there. Perfect. With offset nozzles, I can put just 2 of them on here. As long as I get them right in the center of mass. See, it won't be able to translate side to side, but it will be able to rotate around, and that's all I want it for. Ah, damn it. Actually, I have heard of that, and it's one that I need to write down because I wanted to add it. Especially for this playthrough, since typically we don't ever do rovers. I figured this playthrough would be a good one for us to try it again. Because it's been, like, alpha when I last tried rovers. So I'm just gonna write it down. And there's another one, too, that I wanted to compare it to. Okay, I got it written down. And I also think MechJeb can do it too, can't it? Just because the universe is so huge in JNSQ, I do think that we want to utilize rovers. Let's put our angle snap on and get this thing back to a neutral position. I may have to reposition the lights. The thruster block may need to go underneath the antenna. So there's right on center of mass. I can't see the arm of it. Oh, okay, so the arm just comes off in a V, so that'll actually be fine. Because the top nozzle is actually in between there, so I wanted to make sure that it wasn't clipping into the solar panel. I think that's actually okay. I do believe that will do. I think the moon's about the furthest that you'll take a crew. Probably us too for the first phase of the playthrough. And then the second phase, we're going all sci-fi and shit. So we'll be working on warp ships that we put together in orbit. And jump drives, shit like that. But not for now. Not for the first phase. I'm kind of tempted to move these guys up, but I don't know if I have enough room to put... Ooh, we could put it right above the engine, I think. I was thinking a gyroscope. Oh, you know what? The probe has a little bit built into it. It's going to be completely nerfed by mandatory RCS. But I was thinking that it would be better to have it than to not have it, since this thing is just so light. Total payload is 2 tons at the moment. It's just a baby. Just a wee little feller. Oh yeah, and I have that structural part for the solar panels. I think the structural part can actually go, and I think what we'll do is make it appear that these are attached to the block. I think that can go. Come back, you little shit. Uh-oh. Can I not click on the base? There we go. that be? There'll be plenty of clearance for everything. And we swap out a part. I like it. Good morning, Tesseract. Yeah, been quite a while, hasn't it? We're back. Oh shit. What version did I put in? The Mark 1? Because I want the least powerful version. Oh, I guess they're same. Never mind. And this this nozzle is from KW Rocketry. I kinda dig it. So, let's take it up into space. Let's turn this back on just to make sure that we're still right in the center. And we look good. I think we're lined up pretty well. But I do need to make sure that it can actually stay on target. Hopefully, anyway. We're using mandatory RCS, so I am a little bit nervous about using a telescope that's very finicky, very touchy with mandatory RCS on. So we just need a little baby payload fairing. We also need a totally tiny decoupler. A baby-sized decoupler. I guess I could leave the shroud on that. I think that'll be fine. Trying to get an idea of where my mouse needs to be. Actually, I think that'll work just fine. I don't know, I kind of like it. It's just a baby. Yeah, for a reaction wheel on the bottom. But we do have one built into the probe core, so I think it'll be okay. I think all of this is fine. This guy is going to be moved much lower. For now, though, I just want to get it up into space. So, it doesn't need to get into an orbit or anything. Because if we're going to have to make any changes to this, those changes will also force us to rebuild the booster. This is probably overkill. I just want to chuck it upward. What the hell? It like flips my control surfaces around at an odd angle if I attach them low. So I'll just manually move them down, I guess. Okay, and we're gonna max out at a thrust to weight ratio of 17.4, which is a little high. So let's put a thrust limiter on this bad boy. And I think I'm probably gonna have to use another set of solid rocket boosters to get it off of the pad. I think I'm actually gonna be okay if we max out at like 3 or 4. Let's try 3.5. Oh, and that's non-atmospheric too. So do 3.5 atmospheric. Actually, I think this SRB is just too much. All in all. Gotta give it something to get it off of the pad, though. I wonder if just a decoupler and a thumper. Isn't that the name of that tiny little guy? The flea. No. Apparently the flea's too small. What about a hammer? 0.28? No, I'm gonna end up having to do radial. Shit. All we're looking for at the moment is thrust to weight ratio that won't destroy us. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of that guy. That or do... Okay, let's leave this. We just want a... I mean, honestly, the fastest way to do this is just to hack it into space, but... I dislike doing that. Then we'll do radial decouplers. I want to give this guy enough time to burn. Enough time to burn through its fuel and get to a positive thrust to weight ratio, but I don't want it to burn through it from the ground. Otherwise, I think we're going to get up to way too high of a speed, and we're going to destroy ourselves. So I just want some little guys, globes. And those will help it get off of the ground without having to have so much freaking power on that main stage. So I'm going to try this without separation rockets or anything. So I'm going to move the decoupler up to the top of it and get rid of this decoupler. Don't need that. I don't think. Hopefully they'll move away and just fuck off without destroying our booster when we stage. That'll give us a 2.5 on the pad. What if I don't ignite you? 2 on the pad just for 22 seconds of flight, and then we'll be at a 0.7 thrust to weight ratio on this. Well, it'll be greater than 0.7. Yeah, let's see. Let's see how it does. I think I'm comfortable with it. Rest of our staging looks okay. It's very simple staging. And our goal here is just to go up. I want to separate from it while we're out in the vacuum. And I want to try to target some things and just see how it's going to, you know, is it going to be able to hold a steady aim of the camera at a target. 3, 2, 1, go. We're just deadlifting the main one here to keep our thrust to weight ratio from going too ape shit. Let's also keep an eye on our resources. I would think that we're going to be fine though. Okay, that worked. Let's get our time to AP up. So we have 28 seconds to get to a positive thrust to weight ratio. And I'm hoping that we'll be okay. If not, then I'll go and increase this one. Or I'll swap it out for a more appropriate booster. That does have an outrageously long burn time. For an SRB. It's like a little lighter right now. So it looks like we've got enough thrust right now to just maintain altitude. We should be fine. I'm not too worried about us passing AP and falling. It's actually going to physics warp, because it's going to take fucking forever if we don't. And we're not doing a turn or anything, so it shouldn't matter if we go into 4x physics warp, I don't think. I'm just hoping there's enough fuel in it. Oh yeah, we'll be fine. We'll get to space. If we were going for an orbit, we would need a combined atmospheric and non-atmospheric thrust, delta V value of somewhere around 5,000. I think it's 4,900 to get up, to get an orbit in JNSQ. And I wonder if I can deploy this fairing. Nice. Without destroying anything. Because we're at about 55k. So we shouldn't have to worry about it damaging any of our equipment or anything. Yep, we'll be just fine. AP is currently at 112. Let's go ahead and burn through the rest of our fuel. Go ahead and separate from that bad boy. I want one of these to be active. This is the forward-facing one, so I want that one to target active vessel. I want the other one, which is facing backward, to target the homeworld. Let's activate the more powerful Omni antenna. We have a built-in, an always active Omni antenna up on the top. I just had the second one for a little bit of additional range. Deploy our solar, make sure that nothing's clipping, which looks fine. And that's our little guy. Oh, I have my throttle up. Oops. Okay, so if I target something, see if we have clear line of sight for that guy. And I want to control from here. And then if I tell the flight computer to hold us on target, I wonder why it's having so much of a problem. I might just have to go with more nozzles. It's definitely using a lot more monoprop than it probably should. Actually, they're fairly efficient. Even though it's doing little tiny bursts thousands of times a second, it's not really using a whole lot. But I don't know if that's actually going to be accurate enough. Because this is fairly close. It is holding it in frame just fine for now. And I think we're targeting... Is that Eve? Yes. So we're targeting Eve right now. This is my first look at Eve. Unfortunately, we're getting a view of the dark side of it. So if I were to go with 4 nozzles, one set at the top and another set balanced for the weight of the vessel down here somewhere, I've definitely gained more control. I wouldn't have such a clean thing to attach to. And we would have additional parts. But I think I might have to. The problem is, I can't have these in 6-way symmetry if I want the nozzles to be all the way up here. So the nozzles will I'll probably have to bump all these down a little bit, and the top set of nozzles will go right here. And then the bottom set of nozzles can go right on the tanks, I think. Not in the bot. We do have a CCAN favorite list, though, in the Discord under KSP modding. And then we've got a couple of patches that we're using. And we are using we're not using the most up-to-date version of JNSQ quite yet. They're still working on some bugs, and it seems like this version has fewer bugs than the current version. I think I'm gonna have to. So back to the VAB. These are a little bit more difficult to set up than just 4 right on the center. Or right now we're using 2 on the center. Let's just set that aside for a moment. delete that so that it's not in our way. No, we're on 171 for the same reason. Seems like 172 has some more issues that 171 doesn't have. I'm just gonna take those off for now. I do think I'm gonna have to put that structural piece back in. I'm trying to think which nozzles I want to go with, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna want to go with the little tiny suckers from Restock. These little baby guys. So I'll probably go with the 5-way since they're so freaking adorably small. And I think the closest I can get them to the upper, to the top of the vessel is right in here. Unless I go and redo the upper monopropellant tanks. Oop, wrong hole. And then I want another set of the 5-way thruster blocks. And this set's going to come all the way down to the bottom and attach to these tanks. So I'm looking to see if there's anywhere I can put these little bastards where they're not going to clip into the high gain antenna. But if not, then we'll just move them out. Genpaku, thank you for the raid, man. Good morning. How you doing? Oh, I should get a shout for Gorm too. I'm assuming that you guys all know Gorm. He's out here all the freaking time. What are you up to in your Kerbal Space Program playthrough? We're building a little little telescope for research bodies. Well, it's not the easiest move, but I know that I'm gonna have to reposition these anyway. So I think I'm going to take them all the way down to the bottom of the light, and then we'll reattach the solar panels and we'll move those to the bottom of the light too. These have to go a little bit lower because I just noticed the top nozzle is clipping into that freaking tank right there. And then this one, I just got to line it up with the rest of it, I think. Thank you for the follow, dude. Welcome. Move that down to there. I'm really shitty about it, but if you're new to the channel, my name's Dan. Playing some Kerbal Space Program. We're probably going to start mixing it up, though. Don't think we're going to devote our entire lives to KSP this time. When I first started, we played KSP. When I first started streaming again, we played Kerbal Space Program for, I don't know, 7-8 months solid, no other games. But I do have some stuff on my list that I do kind of want to play. I always forget to introduce myself when people raid. Always. Oh no, this is just a little telescope. This is a baby. We're playing on a scaled solar system. We're playing with a mod pack called JNSQ, JNSQ by Galileo. So everything is a little bit trickier than a normal playthrough. Previously we did GPP, Galileo's Planet Pack, and that was a hell of a lot of fun, so we had to hop on it and try out JNSQ when it first released. But this is just a little tiny guy. This is one of the smaller things that we're actually going to put up into space. And right now I'm looking at my torque value up here to try and perfectly match up this antenna with this antenna. And it looks like we got it. Normally I would put them on in symmetry, but with the telescope that we have on the top, we're going to take some pictures of other planets and moons with this guy. And since it deploys out to the side, I don't want this antenna to point forward, so I want this one pointed backward, and I want this one to deploy forward. That's why we don't have these in symmetry, these two pieces. Let's go for one more structural piece. I'm going to try to match up the solar panels with the antenna, mostly for looks, not truly necessary. Pretty sure we can go with the cubic family strut, and we'll put it into triangle. And then I just want to rotate this around so that both of the triangles are kind of pointed upward. But I'm just eyeballing it. I think that looks fine. If I can find it, there we are. Grab the solar panel and throw that back on there. So you're fairly new. You're playing some stock right now. KAL can also be used to control flights. What's the full name of that one, Draco? I'm not familiar with KAL, like, by the acronym. We're just gonna eyeball this one too. I think somewhere right about in there. And I want it as flush as I can get it without messing with that little guy. About 5 days into your stock career? Nice. This is gonna be quite a bit different. So we're, like I said, we're playing on JNSQ, which is like a redo of the entire solar system. It does keep the original names. There are additional bodies. I think there's 30 total bodies. This solar system, by default, is fucking huge. Like if we were to put in Outer Planets mod, they would kind of be in the middle of this solar system. It's a big feller. I think I actually want that attached to that, but then I need a structural standoff now. And then we'll put our fairing back on. Oh, wait. Before I do that, gotta detach that. I want to use RCS build aid. Now, do you play with mods? Uh-oh, are these not compatible with RCS build aid? Because there's no way in hell that I put those on perfectly. No way. First Duna relay? Oh, nice. Excellent. Even with Memgraph, he had bad stutters? Oh, that sucks. That's really weird, though. Aren't these? Oh no, these blocks are from RCS build, or not RCS build aid, from restock. So maybe they're not compatible with RCS build aid. Well, we could take it up and see what they do, I guess. But it's going to be impossible for me to actually balance those without the assistance of RCS build aid. Let's go ahead and throw our fairing back on. We're just gonna chuck it up into space again. I forgot to retract this. Close the camera. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I would go with that I tell everybody they should go with if they're open to the idea of using mods. Like Kerbal Engineer. precise maneuver, and Kerbal alarm clock. Those are like kind of my three mainstays. Almost refuse to play without them. Okay, we know that this will get it up into space, so we're just gonna chuck it straight up again. Let's check our staging. 4, 1, okay, yeah. And we'll do the launch with, what do you call it? With physics warp. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, there you go. Any mod made by Mr. LGG. Good morning, Linux. The second one? Here, let me just type them out. Kerbal Engineer Redux. I'm pretty sure I spelled maneuver incorrectly. Precise maneuver and Kerbal alarm clock. Let's also get a shout out for Mr. Linux Guru Gamer. And let's actually put the command in properly. Jesus. That's how tired I am. I forgot the shout part of the shout command. It wasn't even a command at that point. Let's get this thing up into space and see how well it does at holding on target. I would imagine that we're out of balance. We'll probably just have to swap it out for a more powerful thruster block, and then we'll nerf it with a limiter. So no gravity turn or anything. We're just going up. I'm just getting high. We'll go ahead and put on time warp. When we get to about 55 or 60 kilometers, we'll get rid of the payload fairing. Pretty much doing the exact same thing that we did last time, but this time we're more confident in its ability, so we're going to go ahead and just stay in time warp. 20 gigabytes? Oh my god. I think that I had to put my textures down to half, like wherever they default as well, and scatter I have turned fairly low. But I've got 32 gigs, so it's more just for stability. We could bump them up, but we do crash a little bit more often if we do that. Okay, let's get rid of those guys. We're almost in space, so let's go ahead and deploy our antennas and whatnot while this finishes burning out. This one is the one that's pointed backward, so I want that one on Kerbin. We're using a mod called Remote Tech, so we have to maintain an active connection. Activate these. That one points forward, so that one goes to active vessel. Get our solar panels out. We're able to deploy all of them with one right click using a mod called All Y'all. I love that mod. Go ahead and detach. Just gonna move away from that. Okay. Test number 2. Open up the camera. We can close that now. I should probably activate the dipole too. Just because it's going to be frustrating if we get this thing all the way up here, and then I lose connection for no reason. We should be okay, but the cone angle isn't all that large with the HG20 high gain antenna. Don't think anyway. It might be a 45 degree. If it is, then we'd probably be just fine. And I want to just set a random target. Let's see, we know that we're going to have line of sight on that one. Let's target one of these guys and see if we can get a better view. Oh, I forgot a very important step. I have to control it from the antenna. Well, it's definitely faster about it. That's never good. Why am I not seeing it? Uh-oh, what have I done? I might just not be able to zoom in far enough to see it. They are fairly far out there. Let's try a different target. We'll just go back to Eve, even though we're gonna see the backside of it. Oh, I think my camera is just a little bit off for some reason. Usually closing and reopening it will center it. I may have hit the wrong button or something. Darn, you know, I think it's actually just the fact that we don't have... Let's turn off RCS. There we go. So, mandatory RCS does almost completely nerf gyroscopes, but not totally. Not all the way. So, let's try that again. I think it was because I had the RCS on still. So, for a big movement, for us to actually move over to the new target, it's gonna take fucking forever if we just try to use our gyroscopes. So we'll go ahead and use monopropellant to get us on target. But then I'm gonna turn it off, and I'm gonna see if we can dial it in with just the gyroscopic control. I don't know, it might just be too far, that other target. I'm zooming in and out, just because this is so freaking touchy. Just trying to get an idea of where it might be. Hey, good morning, Airborne. We got it. And what are we looking at? We are looking at... Edna? Interesting. Let's go ahead and just recycle that. It's still a little jumpy, though. But I don't think that'll be too big of a deal. Not until we start taking really far away photos, and then I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Because with mandatory RCS... this is only going to be worse and worse the further we go, the further we try to look. This little bit of rotation is killing me. Trying to get rid of the rotation there. I don't know, maybe a better probe core too, so that I can use the probe core instead of the flight computer. That might help, because the flight computer does have a habit of trying to put us into those spins. Oh, I just saw something fly by at the bottom there. So that's not going to work for me. What could probably go wrong? Exactly. Good morning, Paul. Lads and asses. Oh my. We'll just go ahead and set all that aside. Does MechJeb also have a hold target function? I do have MechJeb installed, but I never learned how to use it. I think what we actually want to do, since we have upgrades applied to this probe core, is go for an SSTU probe core. And I'll probably just put it right above the engine. Because then we don't have to, like, redo anything. Actually, I guess I want to get rid of that probe core completely, don't I? Bummer. The camera is part of Tarsier Space Technology, TST. We're using it with research bodies to discover the other planets and moons. This is going to be a pain in the ass. And then what am I going to attach these to? I may actually have to leave that probe core just so that I have something to attach to. Can do docking and autopilot. All I need it to do, I need something that can hold target. Right now I'm using a flight computer for remote tech. And for some reason, like if I were having it hold target and I were controlling from the probe core, it would hold target just fine, but it likes to spin while it does it, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us to take photographs. So, considering our options, might not be able to use it. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that one, and we'll just add the additional probe core. Do you have torque at all? It doesn't. So it shouldn't matter which one we control it from then. And let's see, I've turned this to the east. So I'm pretty sure that that's back to the default orientation. That or it's completely opposite, because I do want to attach this the right way. I should take care of that and figure it out before I go any further. So even though that's clipping and looks like shit, it is easy to click on. I'm just gonna put it out on the launch pad. It's gonna fall over. I just want to see what direction the probe is facing. You can use fly-by-wire to hold target? Okay. I think we have a piece that we have to add to the probe to be able to try out MechJeb. No, it's still totally off. Why is it still totally off? I thought I only rotated the top part one time. So rotating it one more time, it should be pointed toward the 270 or the 90. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. You know, the easiest way is just to move those tanks out of the way. Let's just move the fucking tanks out of the way. Oh, so if I select the whole vessel and just hit space, then it'll align it properly? I thought that that just undid the last thing that I did. Yeah, I think once I've saved the vessel, it's not going to work, but it does have a little decal on it that we can use. What? No, it does look like it worked. At least I think so, but I'm really confused now because it didn't look like this changed direction. But as far as I know, that's the way that the hex should face. That this little hex decal here should face. I'm gonna grab another one. It's only got the one decal, right? Okay, yeah, so we should be good to go. Now I can attach this guy and not have to worry about it. Guess I just didn't notice. We'll just lower its diameter down so that it's not poking out or anything like that. So the problem with what I just did is that I lost the engine and the booster that we were using. Let's see if we can load and merge an old save, but I think it'll copy over it. Nope, looks okay. Oh, that's completely wrong. This is our relay deployer. Bummer, dude. I don't have a save for this. Oh well. We will persevere. So we know that we want the orbital maneuvering unit. And I know that I want to move it down a little bit. I think I'm also going to switch over to boat tail like we were talking about before. Oh, darn it, this one doesn't have it. All it has is compact. Compact or a 0.6 and a quarter. 0.625. I think that'll work, actually, where it is right now and the way that it looks like right now. I think it's clean enough. Let's do a decoupler. And then if this doesn't work, we'll try mech jet. Throw that on there. Throw in a standoff. Miss Guinea Pig, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. Very nice to meet you. Then we'll do our fairing. I think I'm gonna go with just an overall wider one. Oopsie, and it probably ought to put these back where they were. Before everybody freaks out thinking there's a proto-molecule involved. Build fairing, okay. Speaking of proto-molecules, when the hell do you guys think the next season of The Expanse is gonna come about? I guess I'll just leave it in the orientation that it's at. I was gonna point it, like, when I'm turning into a gravity turn, I would like to nose down at the 90 degree, but since I can't see the damn hex thing, don't really know which way to turn it. Oh, okay, I can barely see it, so that way. There we go. And then I'm just gonna throw another booster on the bottom of it. Dralo, thank you for the follow as well. Good morning and welcome. I think we were going with an anvil last time. I want the larger protective shell there so that that matched up a little bit better, but it's not gonna matter. We're gonna use liquid boosters and whatnot. No, don't, no spoilers. No spoilers. Just curious if anybody has any idea when the next one's gonna be out. Yeah, get on that shit though, man. You know, watch that last season. We got totally lucky, Deb and I. We started watching the show right before the last season came out, so by the time we finished the first two, I just bought them on Amazon. Right before we finished the first two seasons, the third season was out. We just binged that shit. Netflix canceled the series in Germany. Only available on pay TV there. What about Amazon? At the store, what do we need? I can't really think of anything. She passed excellent grades, goodbye. Okay. Like, could have done that on a phone call, couldn't we? Dad has it, but it's not on UV. What is UV? No GOT spoilers? Yeah, that would be bad. No Game of Thrones. No spoilers whatsoever. Totally welcome to hit me up on Discord or through Whisper, though, if you do want to discuss it with me. I'm very open to it, just not publicly, you know? I don't want to ruin it for anyone else. Oh, and Ultraviolet. Oh, okay. What's the one that's... I thought... Didn't that close down? I could have swore that was the online movie thingy thing that was being phased out. Oh, I forgot, we're gonna need some little tiny boosters on this, otherwise this is gonna max out way too high. So let's go off to 45 with those guys. Then our decouplers. Ah, that's why it never came out. That makes sense. That makes sense. Actually, one of my favorite platforms for buying movies lately is YouTube. They have some really good deals. Like movies that are brand new, that are usually $20 to buy in 4K. I've been, like, I just shop around to wherever and usually pick them up. I don't really give a shit. Most of my movies that I own are on Amazon now. Google seems to have the... God damn it, not Google. YouTube seems to have the best prices lately. I'll figure out how to talk eventually, someday. I'm working on it. Okay, now I can move these guys down. And then I'm going to make a copy of those and just add them to this for a little bit of extra control. And I'm hoping that having a lift surface on the outside and on the bottom of this kind of works along with the force of the decoupler just to get these guys to move away from us. Okay, so by and large, all the same shit. This is still just a test flight. We're just going straight up. We're gonna get high. I want this little guy down here. I want these two retro rockets in the same stage as this, just to move that away from us so that we don't have to do a little burst with our monopropellant nozzles anymore. We're gonna get rid of the fairing before we actually separate from the main booster. And then as far as the limiter on this, I'm just looking for something that won't absolutely destroy our faces, because if I don't put a limiter on, we're going to max out at a thrust-to-weight ratio of about 15 3/4, which is a little too high. We want something a little bit closer to 2 or 3. Ought to be safe-ish. Let's go 2.5. That ought to be okay. And I just noticed that these are at 2, so just to get a little bit more of a burn out of these, let's also lower that so that they consume their fuel just a little bit more slowly. I don't think it matters. These are going to burn out of fuel before it's actually going to matter. So I guess I do want to increase that. Yeah. Oh, I was looking at the wrong number. Dear God, we're still going to max out at 12. My bad. I want you down to about 1. That'll have us max out at about TWR 5. I think we'll be okay though, since we're just going up and out. Yeah, I was reading up on that. We get like notifications when new features come out that we can try if we want to. Definitely not for me. Basically, when you stream, I think you get like free time, like you get a little bit of free time where you can watch somebody stream. But then after that, you don't have access to it anymore unless you're a subscriber. So I'm sure there's a market for that on, you know, for the big guys. But I don't know, it seems like it would be more difficult to bring in fresh blood, you know? Kind of an interesting feature, I guess I'll say. Okay, good. Those still cleanly separate. Doing pretty good, Kazoo. How you doing? But that's for shipping and not for the movies? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't go to the theater or anything, so I figure out of the available options that we have right now, Amazon ought to be around for quite a while, and YouTube ought to be around for quite a while. So I figure they're fairly safe to purchase movies from. Yeah, that's what they're thinking, and I'm sure there's some people that will definitely benefit from it. But oh, you've one that you're sub to that does it. I don't know. I definitely don't think it's for me. Get rid of that payload fairing, turn our lights on. We are in space, so even though that's not finished burning out, we can start to activate the things. And this time we have retro rockets, so that'll just fuck off. Deploy all the stuff. And then we'll give it another test here. So the main thing that we changed, previously we were using this, the flight computer that's part of Remote Tech. I added an additional probe core from SSTU, and we're going to try to use the probe core now to I want to control from here to obtain our target, and I want to see if it's going to be more stable. We have a very limited amount of time before we reach AP and start to fall. Let's go ahead and start with something way the hell out there. Because I'm also curious if this is going to be able to zoom far enough for us to be able to take photographs. We might only be able to take photographs of the closest stuff until we get the more powerful deep space camera. Any idea about Mark IV spaceplane parts? To get it to work on 1.7.1? Oh, you'll be fine, Kazoo. You should be fine. If there's no reason to recompile from one version to the next, then typically a mod author won't. So, the best thing to do, especially when you're in doubt, is go to the forum and just read the last, like, 3 pages of the main forum. You'll almost always see somebody the very first day of an update that's going to go right in there and, does this work for this? And then there'll be like 10 different replies of people that have actually just tried it for themselves rather than bother anyone. And usually you can get a pretty good idea of whether it's going to work. So we're going to use monopropeller again, just for the start of this. That seems way better. And it's not trying to put us into any kind of an odd spin or anything, it's just pointing us right at it. But if we zoom in, are we right on target? Oh, look at all that. Look at all that bounce. So what if I disable RCS and we try to stabilize under gyroscopic control? It might be doable. This is going to be a little finicky, though. It's going to be extremely difficult to take photographs of stuff that's way out there on the outer edge of the solar system. Oh, I love this skybox. Thank you so much for telling me about it. So this is our first look at, I believe, Jewel. Oh, nope, we're looking at Lindor. Okay. And we also have, so, one of the things with Tarsier, the location that you're at when you take the photograph counts as a biome. So right now we're orbiting Kerbin, looking at Lindor. We could take this same telescope, put it around the Mun, put it into a solar orbit, put it around Minmus, and we could take this same photograph and we can get 4 times the science for it. Every time you hit login, you get dropped to a sign up for... what? That's annoying. Is that Google Fiber that you're having a problem with? Unfortunately, I don't have access to any kind of fiber where I am. It sucks, man. That's actually a really good suggestion, Drallo. Use action groups to nerf our RCS. I've never set it up for that, though. Oh, it's their mobile carrier. Interesting. I don't know. I think we can ship this. I think the current version will work. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that action group thing. I've never used an action group to change my thrust limiter. The problem is we introduce a new issue if we have more gyroscopic control, because there's going to be that correction with the immediate auto correction. It's going to overcorrect, essentially. So more gyroscopes is poison. Too powerful of an thruster blocks is poison. It's just all bad. It definitely makes the mod a lot more challenging to use, though, with mandatory RCS, so I think that as long as we can overcome it, we're going to be happy. Right, yeah, the skybox that we're using was designed for RSS. It's a cube map of, like, of the Milky Way. Of, like, real-life stuff. But you can put in, I think it was, wasn't it Sigma replacements? And then throw all the cube map stuff in, and you can use it as a skybox. For telescopes, there should be an exception to mandatory RCS, so that we can use reaction wheels. I mean, it doesn't nerf them completely. You know what I mean? It's like a 99% nerf. Did I put these on crooked? I don't have enough of a torque to show up here, but I just noticed that these are on a little askew. It looks like this one's just fine. No, even that one looks like it's off a little bit. I wonder if that's just the nature of the planar strut that we're attached to. Let's see if the solar panels are the same way. Yeah, and the solar panels are a little bit off to the side too. I don't know if... I probably just put them on improperly, didn't I? Because the part's so small, it's really difficult for me to get it right in the sweet spot there. But now that I've noticed it, let's fix it. I'm gonna do it for all 4 of these. So what I'm trying to do is attach to the very bottom of the part so that I know that it should be right in the center. And then I just move it up so that it's level with the top for balancing. And then there's a little bit of, almost looks like an end cap on the, see that little transition from this diameter to the final diameter of it. Trying to line those both up as well, even though it's a little unnecessary, because it won't be off enough to actually affect anything. We're just doing it for kicks. So now that I've done that, we still have a torque value of 0.00. All in all, though, I don't think that that really affected anything. It's more for my own sanity than anything that I'm redoing these. Look at this one. I'll have to attach to the top so that I can actually see where I'm attaching it. OCD, we're good to go. Pretty sure, anyway. Okay, so I do think that this is gonna work. And I can't think of anything else that I would really want to add to it outside of additional fuel. So I think what we're gonna do is go with a probe core like I was talking about before, and I could probably actually use that as our structural standoff. So I think I can detach this here. I was just looking through all of our other stats. Everything looks okay. I'm going to get rid of this piece. I don't think we need it anymore. I want another hex core. Any kind of core would do. And I would like for that to deorbit the upper stage that puts this into position. I don't think that we actually need parachutes. The goal with the upper stage for this is to be able to get it into an orbit around the homeworld, transition it from an orbit around the homeworld to one or the other of the moons, and then to smash itself into the other moon. Because I want to be able to take these photographs from all of our moons. And does anybody know off the top of your head, I do have a question, is 1200 DV from a moon enough for this to kick itself out into a solar orbit? Because if I can put this into a solar orbit, that would be a fourth photograph that we could take. There is a mod that I had planned to install that may actually delay this. I want to get TAC self-destruct. I would like to be able to put explosives on this because I don't think that the K4 from Kerbal Inventory System can be remotely detonated. I think we would actually have to have somebody up there to blow this up when we're done with it. Should be enough? We'll give it a shot. And we also have a demo charge. Can be used to break up and recycle single parts, clean off attached parts, or destroy an entire vessel. Do not eat. It's excellent advice. So you don't see a way for me to add this to the staging. But with TAC self-destruct, I know that we can. I think that these are designed for a Kerbal to come out and then configure them and blow stuff up. Yeah, I don't see any other option. Because once I kick it out into a solar orbit, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for me to destroy this. And eventually it will just count as debris, and I was really hoping to avoid that. You're right, we should just put them on and try it out on the pad. Let's delete our fairing. We use the plate for the fairing as something to stand on, something to sit on out there. I'm gonna get rid of those so that they don't interfere. If I can find them again. The cool thing about these ones is they kind of work in by distance. Whereas with TAC Life Destruct, it kind of starts to blow shit up on the opposite end of the vessel, which sometimes does make it a little bit tricky to position. You have to make sure that you're attached to like the very last part at either the top or the bottom. So for this vessel, it would actually be that antenna. See, this would be a really kind of a tricky one to use TAC self-destruct with, I think. I don't even know where the hell I would attach it. I would almost need to put a structural piece on and then have the explosive on that. Well, there's the K4. Where is the demo charge? There's the demo charge. Let's take it out to the pad as suggested by Isley. We'll see if we can right-click on it and choose anything there. Thank you, Drallo. Have a good day, man. Thanks for hanging out. Welcome to the stream. Thank you again for the follow. I don't know if we're going to be doing KSP tomorrow. Probably will, but there are some other games that I do want to play. Nope, I got nothing. And I wasn't able to add it to the action groups in the VAB. Bummer. I guess we could do it the cheesy way and just delete the damn thing. But I do actually prefer to have the explosive itself, you know what I mean? So tech self-destruct would be a great one. I think I'm just gonna write it down, because I also want to get Bon Voyage. We'll add those to the list tonight. Tech self-destruct. It's the same as the demo charge and the K4, but it can be added into the stage. So our final stage, rather than parachutes, will be an explosive charge that will hopefully destroy the entire telescope when it's no longer needed. Okay, so back to this little shit. I think a service bay, probably. It's odd. Don't have anything in between at a 1.8, huh? I'll just scale it down. I'm okay with the probe core being up there, though. I want a place to put all of our other fiddly bits. I might even put our solar panels in there. Oh, next patch, binding to thrust will be a thing. Okay. No problem. For this playthrough, unfortunately, we probably won't make it to that part. For this playthrough, we're likely going to stay with 1.7.1, so that we have access to the DLC content, and with the, I think it's version 0.7 of JNSQ. Maybe 0.4. I think it's 0.7, though. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, which never works out for me. So inside of this little guy, I want batteries. I also need my retro rockets. Let's grab those now, because I will 10 out of 10 forget later. Or do I? No, I don't want retro rockets for this, do I? What I want is monopropellant nozzles so that it can fuck off. Move itself away from us. So I'm going to go with just a 5-way thruster block. We're going to go 2 of those. Let's add a tank. Okay, that'll be fine. And then on the bottom of the tank, I'll go ahead and just attach our batteries. Okay, these are about $2,000 a piece. I think I'll go with a capacitor. Because the one capacitor can hold like 25 times as much as a single battery. So we'll keep our part count a little bit lower too. And then outside of that, we need solar of some sort. I'm probably just gonna go with a couple of these guys. Let's see. And if I'm gonna do all of that stuff, I'm probably gonna want to hide it under the fairing plate. So let's move the plate down one. And now I may need a structural standoff again. If I had a way to attach anything to the front of this bad boy, I would do a nose cone fairing deployment. But I don't. So that'll just go in like that, and then a couple of other smaller solar panels, I think. I can't even find the stock solar panels. Oh, they're right here. I was hoping to put 6 on, but the others are too wide. Yes, Wolfman, we're building a telescope. Got a little telescope assembly that we're hoping to bounce around to all of the different moons before we bring it on home. So right now we're working on just a drone that'll be in charge of the upper stage so that it can separate and hopefully not leave any debris. I don't think I like the look of where we're going with this though at all. It's nice to use that as a structural standoff, but I think this looks like shit. I think I'm gonna get rid of that. I think we're gonna go a different way with those. I think that our probe core is going to end up just being shoved inside of this thing. And I think I'll just use a slanted fuel tank for our structural standoff there. I already like it more than what we had before. Throw the probe core all the way down in there, poor little guy. And I'm wondering if the entire upper stage shouldn't just go inside of the fairing. It's starting to look a lot like our relays. So that's almost 5 tons for a payload. What kind of thrust to weight ratio and burn time are you going to have if I give you a little spark? Or a pug? If I give you a pug, you're at a 0.49 and a non-atmospheric 1,387 meters a second. If I give you a spark, 4-minute burn time, I can live with that. 1,242 dV. 1,387. So unfortunately, the little spark is just not efficient enough to compete with the pug. We'll go with the compact variant. And I really like the slanted surfaces here, because I can go with just basic old solar. If I can find it again. These little guys. And we can just go with 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. And then if the butt end is facing toward the sun, we've got partial exposure to all 4. If any given side is facing the sun, we've got partial exposure to this one and both of these two. So I've got these at a 90 and these at a 45 degree. Or you could just go with more of them, but I think that's fine. And I suppose if we really wanted to, we could put another set on the side here. But I don't want to block the door. And I'm okay with them having a little bit of a standoff from whatever they're attached to, but I'm not okay with them not being attached to whatever they're attached to. So I'm just going to move this into the surface here. Go and double check the rest of these. These ones look fine. These were a little odd. Okay. So, I do want to conserve the monopropellant on the final probe here. So I'm going to go into action groups. Action group number 1 is going to be toggle RCS. And then with our right-click menu, I'm going to disable RCS on the probe. So we're only going to be able to use these 2 nozzles that are inside of the compartment here until we deploy this, and then we'll activate those with the with the action group that we just set. Hopefully it'll be alright. Go and close that up. I don't know how much I need to flare out, but I do know that we need to go a little bit wider up at the top. See, that's just a little too wide. That's a little too much. So what I'm doing, when I'm positioning these, I go up to the widest part of the vessel, figure out where the hell my mouse needs to be, so that I'm going to be just outside of it, and then I right-click to get rid of the previous fairing, and then I just use the scroll wheel, so my mouse is not moving from that position, but I just went too far. And then I'm hoping, god damn it, I'm hoping that we can stick with the same diameter for the entire thing. I think I need to go just a little bit further up. There. Not too bad. We're just over 5 1/4 ton for the final payload. I think I'm going to go with the SSTU liquid fuel tank. We'll go ahead and increase its diameter so that it matches the shell there, and this will be our liquid lifter. And then as far as engines, I really don't know which way to go either. I do know that I want the lifter to actually get the entire payload up into orbit, and I also know that I don't want that shroud, because that looked like shit. Oh, and I forgot a decoupler. Because I'm a jackass. It doesn't look like making that any longer actually interfered with the fairing, so we shouldn't have to rebuild that. Then inside of that, I want this guy to be able to get all the way up into orbit, and then I want it to deorbit itself with with backward-facing solid rocket boosters. And we're probably going to put this into a fairly high orbit, so I do think I'm going to go with a fairly powerful set of SRBs for that. And then I'm also going to want our chutes in there. Now we're going to fiddle around with the tank, so I'm not really going to worry about positioning those quite yet. I'm going to actually move them away from the tank, because if I attach them to the tank rather than the fairing plate, well, I guess fuck it. So the cool thing about attaching them to the tank is I can put them on in a 45 degree, and then when I move them into position, I just do that, and then everything's symmetrical, and I like that. But if I attach them to the tank, then they're going to have an offset. They have kind of a... I can't remember what you call that pattern. Quarter turn pattern. So this is what I want, but if I just leave them that way, then when I adjust the core, the parachutes don't move. So that's a pain in the ass. So I'll put it back to where it was before. I know that I want to attach these to the tank, otherwise if I just put them up here, see how they kind of point off, and we could always just turn them. And make it work, I guess. But, yeah. I'd rather just attach them later. So I also don't know what engine to use. So we're going to try several different ones and just see what our stats end up being. Looks like that's going to be a little underpowered if I just use the one. Yeah, better. That guy's about twice as powerful. What the hell? Oh, the retro rockets. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Those go into the same stage. I looked up at Kerbal Engineer and I had a stage there with a thrust to weight ratio of like 5 because of the retro rockets. That'll be fine. Methinks. And our target delta V is going to be somewhere around 5,000. That's what I'm hoping we can get up to. So I have a perfect 1.5 thrust to weight ratio on the pad if we go with this, but I only have 3,237 total DV. So let's get rid of the mount for that, and let's go with solid rocket boosters. The RD-171s. I have to actually look through every single one of these because I'm not familiar with the... Oh yeah, that'll definitely do the trick, but I think it's a little overkill for a 5-ton payload. That'll give us a thrust to weight ratio of like 4.5. And we get about 2,000 DV. If we go with this one, we get a little over 3,000. But I don't know if I can get the rest of that, the other, like... Because I think it's 4,900 to get up into orbit. Don't know if I can get the other almost 2,000 DV that I need with solid rocket boosters. The 181? We're using a 107 right now. 180, 181? Yeah, that's the one that we're using. The 181. But I got rid of the mount that it defaults to because it flares out a little bit. And I want to surface attach some solid rocket boosters. We could also throw one solid rocket booster in the center stack here. Then we might. Let's look into it. It's a little bit more of a pain in the ass to time our burns, since I don't have throttle control. Oh good, it has a shroud. I'm going to take the thrust limiter on that one all the way down, just to get it to burn as long as possible. Then I probably do want separation rockets, don't I? I like them. I really like the look of them. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to have to use a standoff decoupler when I don't have very many options for a standoff decoupler. Oops, I was already in engines. I want these little ullage motors just to move this away from us when we separate, so that we don't damage it. So I think 2 is going to be just fine, and those 2 will go in with that stage. Then the outer solid rocket boosters are going to need radial decouplers, and I'm going to do them in sets of 2. This will be the second set that we deploy from, and this will be the first set. Or that we stage off. And might as well just go with the SSTU SRBs. But these also flare out by default, so I do want to change the lower portion. I think that will actually be just fine. So I'm not going to change the diameter quite yet. Whoopsie. But I am going to change the length since we know that we're aiming for a fairly high DV value. And I meant to be in the move tool when I clicked on that the last time. Something about like that. That's actually plenty of thrust between the three of these. We start off on the pad at a 1.3. You forgot cat treats. We're gonna have some bitchy kitties. You what? Yeah. These cats are all over Deb. Since she's the one that gives them treats. I do occasionally, but mostly just a kiss ass. Try and get the kitten to like me. Usually it doesn't work for very long. And I wonder if that's enough of a standoff for us to do separation rockets. Matter of fact, this is just going to be double the work, unless I get rid of that one. And go ahead and attach these. I'm going to go for one at the top and one at the bottom of each of these. And I should probably just save this as a sub-assembly, but using SSTU, I do kind of customize like our target DV, depending on what we're doing. So unless I'm going to stick with the same settings for each and every SRB, I'll end up having to reposition all of these anyway. So it's kind of an equal amount of pain in the ass, no matter which way we go. But this should make them safe, hopefully. You know what I should have had to get at the store is steaks and asparagus. I didn't even think about it. Alright, so primary ignition is now going to be the central, wider solid rocket booster, and these two. So I want that down here. Then when we decouple from these, I'm going to break them up for now because I don't know which one's going to burn longer. When I decouple from those, these little retro rockets here, if I can mouse over them and highlight them, it'll tell me where they are in the staging. I have no idea. That's the top set and the bottom set. Okay, so those go with that. Where the frick? There they are. That'll go there. Okay, so if I flip these around, I lose a stage in here. So I know that this is not going to burn as long as these. Oh, opposite, sorry. I lose it if I have the single feller being staged first. And I don't want that. I want this one to outlast these two. Mostly for looks. It doesn't really matter all that much. And no thrust limiter on these guys, right? Nope. Cool. Because we're going to turn to the east. So I want to decouple from these two first. Then, hopefully it doesn't mess anything up. Actually, I might go for a nose clone parachute. I think that one's a little too small. And normally I would just upsize it so that it matches, but there is a front attach parachute that we haven't unlocked yet, the Mark 16, and I don't remember the name of the other one. There's two of them. So I don't want to do that. So yeah, I think I'll just go with the nose cone. Okay, cool. Doesn't look like it screwed up the position of these. It did make this move down a little bit. That's not that big of a deal. I guess it did kind of mess with the bottom ones because I kind of need to click on that guy. Top one will be fine where it is though. So these are going to burn at 100% power. And this set I want to try to hopefully match up with this. But I don't know if we've got enough fuel. I don't know if I can actually balance those out. I might be able to. Let's go ahead and just split these. Make sure that I got the right ones. Yeah, looks good. And this set, I want them to burn as long as possible, and I kind of want them to burn as long as the center one if I can get them to. It's gonna be pretty farkin' close. I guess I'll just deploy them a little bit earlier so that we can get our thrust to weight ratio at 1.5 right on the pad. So let's take these up to... Let's actually do a 1.4 so that we don't max out quite so high. We'll max out at 2.59. So, I want to stage these guys first. You go there. I want to stage these guys second. You go right where you are. Then this final one here. Then I want to ignite the engine in an independent stage. Don't want to fry that thing. We're gonna throw parachutes on all of these. Oh, same problem that I was gonna have with the chutes, but I have it with the solid rocket boosters because these were attached to the tank. That's okay. Just gotta move those up there. And then those little guys go in with this decoupler. Like, nyah. Now, I have no idea when the hell it's gonna be safe for us to get rid of our payload fairing. I'm assuming that we're gonna burn through all of our solid rocket boosters before we have to get rid of the fairing, but I don't actually know that for sure. And it looks like this is gonna have 30 seconds of additional burn versus these guys. Don't know if I want that. Okay, now it's going to have 0.5 seconds of additional burn. I think I'm okay with that. So if I'm going to do that, then at this stage here, I'm just going to combine these two. We're going to get rid of the bottom one and the second set of the side boosters at the same time. Then ignite our liquid fuel engine. So we definitely still have more stuff that needs to go on this, but I think we're ready for a test flight. I want control surfaces. And I'd like 4 of them attached to the main body of the rocket at a 45-degree angle, plus 1 set per solid rocket booster. Now I do have to check symmetry, because it gets a little funky sometimes. Just want to make sure that I got a fin on both sides, not 2 fins on the same, or on the the same solid rocket booster. Perfect. All right, let's see what she does. We still haven't given it a name. We still haven't saved it as anything. I guess we could do that now. If we go into science, this telescope is called Space Telescope. Okay. Good enough. I'll actually get a save. Now I did hit space a couple of times, so I'm just making sure that I didn't undo anything that I previously did, because I don't know why, but every now and then when you're naming something after you've actually started on the project, hitting space and whatnot will actually affect it, but it looks okay. Got our save in. Let's give it a shot. See how she does. I also want to put some lights on this. I forgot that we were doing a night launch, but for this first one, I think we'll be okay. Alright, so lights on the payload turned on. Throttle doesn't matter one bit, but I'm going to throttle up anyway for the stage. SAS is enabled. Let's get our GV and our AP and PE information up. Actually, this is incredibly inaccurate. I don't know why. I think I'm going to just hide that. I do like having the burn time, so I may add that to Kerbal Engineer, but I will get the AP and PE information up. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh yeah! I really do like those solid rocket boosters. I've never had this happen with them though. That can't be good. Yeah, that's decidedly bad. Alright, let's go add those lights. Oh god, look at that. Something's getting out of here. Something else is gonna come over and destroy us. Well, rip. So, apparently, we need some struts. We'll just use auto struts and be lazy about it, though. And then I also gotta make sure that nothing's clipping into anything else. I'm hoping that the little texture here isn't part of the problem. I don't think it is. I don't see any clipping. So I'm gonna go and auto strut to grandparent, which skips the part that it's attached to and attaches to the part that it's attached to is attached to. Makes perfect sense, right? So the part that it's attached to would be the parent part. The part that this is attached to is the grandparent part. Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I think the problem is probably this guy. I think I might do some actual struts. I can't even remember where they are. I haven't had to use struts in so long. And I want to give us a solid connection. Off at a 90-degree. All 4 of them. I can't even see. Okay. And I'm just eyeballing. I'm looking for roughly, 45-degree off of that. Okay. And that should connect this one to these guys. These guys are strutted to this guy. And hopefully we'll be okay. We could also run some auto struts up to grandparent for that too. But I don't know if they really work. I think they, even if we auto strut it to grandparent, I don't know if they can move through parts. They probably can. A regular strut would just have strutted that to the decoupler that it's attached to, which shouldn't have created the issue, but hopefully that'll solve it. Let's update the save. Try that again. I forgot lights. God damn it. I need Gorm around again. Huh, Gorm? Enjoy your lurk, Airborne. And if I don't see you when you come back, I will see you tomorrow. Is it next week that we're going to have split days off? Where'd that go? Did I?
What?
Is it?
Monday, Tuesday,
Oh, okay. So next week we're going to be off Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So we'll have a stream Wednesday, then a day off, and then we'll be back for, that's for the 4th. Oh, my probe core is totally upside down too. How the hell did I manage that? I wonder. We'll have to remember to pick that up and flip it around. No, I'm seeing some fuckery going on here. When I enable SAS, they were like pulling hard to the side. So I might need launch stability enhancers. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully I don't have the probe core upside down somehow. Let's try it. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I gotta start showing up to your streams then and repay the favor. Jack, 14 months at tier 2, and half of that at tier 3. Holy shnikes. I'm gonna need more than half of that. Thank you, man. Appreciate the support. Good to see you, sir. We're using all solid rocket boosters and control surfaces right now, so I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna start turning this into a gravity turn. I actually have to nose up. Got it all messed up. Yeah, the lights are either just for show or for docking. I feel you there. We're gonna get rid of our first set of solid rocket boosters now. Need to nose in more aggressively. Let's stabilize a little bit. Okay, get rid of those ones. So I've given up the control surfaces that are mostly responsible for left and right facing. I want to give those up before I give up the ones that are helping us maintain our angle. AP's already at 55 and continue to nose down. And that middle booster is going to last just a smidge longer than the outer two. So I do have to keep that in mind. We're down to about a 20-degree angle. Let's delay here and burn off all the rest of our SRBs. And then our fairing, it looks like that, well, for one, it needs its own node. It looks like that's going to be right after we activate the main engine. TWR at 1.8 with the final lifter here. AP is at 72. We're at about 56k, so let's go ahead and get rid of that payload fairing. And so far it's not going too bad, but I don't think that I brought enough punch for us to get this whole thing into orbit. I don't know, everything's fairly powerful that we have so far, so I might just do a smaller second upper stage and then not have to have these powerful retro rockets or the probe core or any of that good stuff. Because I was hoping that this would actually get up into orbit and then we would deorbit it with the retro rockets. But I haven't even added the parachute, so if we do fall short, before we add parachutes to everything, then we know we're going to be shorter. We'll see how it goes though. AP's at 86, so we are on our way to space. Time to AP is at 45 seconds. We're down to about 50% of our fuel. Got a long way to go for an orbit though. We do have a hell of a lot of DV left in this. We'll actually probably be okay, but don't really know for sure. And thrust to weight ratio is over 3 right now, but we're in space, so it doesn't really matter all that much. We're not fighting air resistance or anything like that. We could go ahead and activate all the other stuff, but I don't really think it's going to be necessary for this test flight. Well, I can definitely get it into orbit, but I definitely want to do a much better job of that. We're at 236 on our AP and 85 on our PE. That might not be too big of a deal, though, and we might actually plan on to do an eccentric orbit like that on purpose, because we do know that the final payload is going to go into a fairly high orbit. We want to get it fairly, you know, far away from the homeworld there. So 236 really isn't all that bad. I might wait for it to somersault back around. One thing that we do need to make sure of, though, is that we're facing prograde when we reach AP, when we separate this, so that it'll just burn up. But I highly doubt that we can put enough parachutes or a heat shield or anything on this for it to actually be able to survive re-entry, unfortunately. Yeah, we do use remote tech. So hopefully we won't lose connection. I'm waiting for us to pivot back around. I guess we could take an active role in this. Let's go ahead and open our bays so that we can use our monopropellant nozzles that are inside of the upper stage. I'm not going to activate them until we get pretty close to prograde, just so that we can conserve a little bit of monopropellant. And we should be able to use up the remainder of the fuel in this. Okay, I'm going to turn those off and throttle up. And then we'll use engine gimbal to actually stay on target. This will leave us with an AP of, looks like over 1 million. I don't want a solar orbit, so I'm going to come out to map view just to make sure that we don't end up on an escape trajectory. Oh, we're way short of escape, so that's fine. Okay, so I want this to continue to hold prograde. We're all out of fuel in this. We need to be facing prograde so that these SRBs can force this to re-enter the atmosphere. This is a test flight, though, so it doesn't really matter what goes on. Good morning, Mr. Matron. How are you doing? Oh, the irony. I try to raid Matron all the freaking time, and I always catch him at the very end of his show. And the irony is that we are just about done for the day. We're doing a couple of extra test flights. But it's good to see you, sir. Probably watching a commercial right now. Twitch has really been pushing them. It's going to deploy all of our solar panels on the probe itself. I've got our antenna activated. Let's go ahead and activate the dipole as well, our stronger Omni antenna. But we don't really need the telescope itself activated quite yet. How you doing, Matron? If you guys have never met him before, Mr. Matron is a variety streamer who is just an excellent all-around guy. Very, very fun to watch. Too much commercial? Yeah. And always playing something that I've never freaking heard of, or that I've recently heard of and never actually tried to play myself. I don't know, this is looking okay. Definitely give Mr. Matron a follow. We're gonna try to eventually get him addicted to KSP too. But he plays a lot of everything. City management games, strategy games. Can't think of a first-person shooter type game that I've ever seen you play, but wouldn't be too surprised if you dipped your toe in those waters either. I guess there's like those, didn't you do Space Engineers and Astroneers and all those? Those aren't really FPS games, but close. Close enough. You're getting Amazon Prime trailers? Oh, sure. So that's why they took away Amazon Prime not having to view commercials. What a silly thing to do, though. That's one of the only nerfs to the benefits that we get with Amazon Prime that I really dislike. Alright, let's go ahead and separate. We're at AP right now. This is as high into our orbit as we're going to get, and I'm hoping that that little shit is just going to burn up. Oh yeah, that thing is fucked. Now I do want to continue to hold prograde, and I want to activate our engine and throttle up, and I just want to see how well it stays on target. without our RCS nozzles. Since we do have mandatory RCS, it actually looks like it's going to do just fine. So I may need to make this stage a little bit larger too, because we do have 2 moon transfers that I would like to perform. One of them is going to require a pretty large adjustment to our angle, so that we can match up with the outer moon. Not really an FPS type of person. I've been playing a lot of Arma lately, but not really like the way it's supposed to be played. We can just go ahead and close that alarm. That was an alarm letting us know that our tourist vessel is ready to deorbit. It looks like this thing's holding on target just fine. No problems. So hopefully being connected to this won't throw off our balance up here. What I might do, I might build like a little bracket that will move the monopropellant nozzles that are actually attached to this part of the vessel higher up. And then another set maybe downward, or put the other set on the bottom of this if I do make the upper stage larger. Just so that we're able to take photographs while we're still attached to that and not have it be such a pain in the ass. Let's go ahead and open up our camera and control from the camera. And we'll give it a little test. We still have a connection, apparently. That or it's that damn probe core. I might have to figure out a better solution than that probe core. I need to make the SSTU probe cores. I need to figure out a way to integrate them with the remote tech. Played Fortnite a long time ago. This game's triggering your space phobia? Aww. I don't know, like, I would never want to go to space, like, truth be told. But I do like going to space in video games, for sure. So I'm just aborting the second part of that burn there. I'm going to set a target, and I want the probe core to point us toward it. We'll see how it does with this attached to it. I just want to know now if I'm going to have to change anything. Doesn't seem to be that bad, but we're still off. I don't know how far to zoom to be able to get an idea of how far off either. So, I don't know. I think I need 2 different stages of monopropellant control so you can see something flashing back and forth, flying by super quickly. It is pretty far out there, the target that I've chosen. It should stabilize. I wonder if I go into physics warp if I can accelerate the process of stabilization. That might be a solution, rather than getting rid of mandatory RCS. They're just gonna make it a total fucking pain, though. Because if it wobbles this bad, and it's only like that far away, it's gonna be that much worse under magnification. We still haven't discovered like the outer planets. We're still largely working on the inner, the close by stuff. Right now, I think we're actually targeting this guy. Nope. Oh, we're targeting Moho, which is even freaking closer. So if it's that unstable for that long, it's going to be really difficult for us to go any further out. We did finally get it into frame, though. So it might be doable. It's just going to be a little bit trickier for us to go and get everything else set up. And then we can use some of the built-in controls to search for moons. But if it's going to be that finicky, I might just have to set, you know, our next target when we go for additional photos. So, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with it. I do think that we're going to do a little bit more work on the probe here because of the available delta V. It's only got 938 meters a second of DV left in this. And I need triple that. So this is going to be a fairly large stage for us to be able to take all of our photographs from the orbit of the homeworld. And then also transition out to probably the inner moon first, and then from the inner moon, likely from a polar orbit around the inner moon to the outer moon. So we'll just wait for that moon to be in position, and then we'll boop over to a polar orbit around that. And then we'll use that polar orbit to also kick us out of the sphere of influence and put us into a solar orbit. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think that'll be the game plan. All in all, though, great success. Still a little wonky, but not too bad. We were able to stabilize to the point where we could totally take a photograph of this. I'm just a little worried about, like, even that little shake that it has there. If we're targeting something much further away, which we will be, that little shake is going to be huge. I believe that's the farthest of our discoveries. Oh no, this guy. Let's set you as the target. Because I don't actually even know if this telescope is going to be powerful enough for us to see this thing that's way out here. We might have to have the Deep Space Telescope. Because this is by far... Oh, no. We can see it. Now, I do have RCS off. Let's go in Physics Warp. See how long it takes for it to stabilize. Or if it even can stabilize. I think I'm gonna wait until it gets, like, to the edge where it's starting to correct. And just give it a little bit of a burst of monopropellant. Just kind of hoping to minimize that a little bit. I think it's livable for now, for the inner stuff, but we're gonna have to come up with a better system for the Deep Space Telescope that we need for things that are very, very far off. Because these are way the hell out there, but nowhere near as far as some of the other things that we're gonna be wanting to take photos of. Like, look at that poor little moon. Looks like Slender Moon, just shimmying around. But it is working, so I am very happy about that. If I had to choose between Tarsier and Mandatory RCS would be going. Like, hands down, if I had to pick between the two. But I am having fun with Mandatory RCS. It definitely makes things more difficult. And it's going to make our builds later on much more complicated, too. When we start to build things that can dock to other things. So I'm a little excited for that. Yeah, I think that'll work. Alright, let's go ahead and revert that, and I am going to take off. I'm going to go and look for somebody to throw a host out to. Let's go back to the VAB, and I'll just leave this open in the background. There's some other stuff that I think I might mess with. There's 2 mods that I want to add, so if you go and check the... Oh, let's get Gorm on our auto host too. Thank you for that host today, Gorm. For the raid. Who else? Got Paku and Tally. I'm gonna add all of you guys to my auto host real quick. Sweet. Think I got everybody. For sure. I got everybody in the list here. And who is on? Who do we want to chill with? Mr. Choco Taco's on. Scarlet's on. Mr. Farden is on. And Skarul. They're both members of the Happy Camper stream team. Sorry, the pro team, actually. I'm a member of the stream team. They're the guys that actually go to the tournaments. Now here's somebody that we haven't visited in quite a while. Let's go... Oh, wait. He's streaming in German now. He'd probably still be okay with it. I'm sure he'd say hi and everything, but I think he, I think instead of doing, you know, like an English and German, he's doing just German. Why do the host and not the raid? Just so the people don't have to drop out if they want to farm while the bot's still open. That's literally the only reason. Charity's on. Charity's really cool. He plays PUBG. I don't know who I want to hang out with, honestly. Let's just go say hi to Scarlett. Scarlett's awesome. We all love Scarlett. Scarlett is a variety streamer from Scotland. She's starting to play a lot more, but her main game is definitely PUBG. And she's just all in all a really awesome person. I'm going to throw you a couple of links. And let's all go say hi. You guys have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Probably more KSP tomorrow, but after that, for the rest of the week until next week, I think we're going to play some... Oh god, it's called PoE. Pillars of Eternity. Which is kind of like an RPG kind of thing, I think. Let's go say hi. Bye, guys.
Might be against us. Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone with a massive